Hey everyone, you are on the Proxy-Seller channel. My name is Max. In today's video, we're exploring how modern AI systems gather real-world data from the internet and the essential role proxies play in this process. Let's get started. In 2025, artificial intelligence no longer learns solely from static open-source datasets. To stay relevant, models, especially large language models like GPT or Claude, require fresh, dynamic, constantly updated data. However, obtaining that data directly has become nearly impossible. Major platforms actively protect themselves from bots, restrict the number of requests, enforce CAPTCHA challenges, and monitor browser behavior. That's where proxy servers come into play. So, what is scraping and why are proxies indispensable? Scraping refers to the automated collection of publicly accessible data from websites. When it comes to AI, this means retrieving new content to train, adapt, or inform a model. But even if a page is publicly visible, the website still tracks key signals. The source IP address, whether a real browser is being used or a headless bot, how fast and repetitive the interactions are, and the user's geographic location. Without proxies, these signals immediately trigger suspicion. Requests get blocked, pages fail to load, or the session is redirected to CAPTCHA. That breaks automation at the very first step. That's why rotating proxies have become foundational to modern scraping pipelines. They rotate IP addresses with every request or session, allow precise geo-targeting, which is crucial for platforms like TikTok, where the content is filtered by region, and introduce traffic randomness that mimics real users. But where exactly is this data used? Let's take Twitter or X, for instance. It's a vital source for financial models and sentiment analysis. Amazon feeds models with data on product prices, categories, and brand descriptions. TikTok provides input for training video-based LLMs and mapping social network dynamics. These platforms are heavily protected, so proxies help AI agents bypass limitations and reach the data they need. Today, large language models, LLMs, like GPT, Claude, or open source systems, such as Mistral and Llama, require more than just raw computing power. They need access to smart, dynamic data. Scraping is only the first step. Once collected, the data goes through filtering, processing, and becomes part of the model's lifeblood, the very thing that keeps modern AI alive and evolving. Let's take a look at the key use cases where this data plays a critical role. First, there's RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. A language model on its own doesn't remember real-world events after it's been trained. That's why developers connect it to a retriever, a system that fetches relevant content from the web, like articles, product descriptions, or social media posts, and feeds it back to the model to improve the quality of its response. For example, if you ask a chatbot about TikTok's latest policies, the model pulls that information in real time from trusted sources and gives you an up-to-date answer. Modern AI agents can now initiate this kind of data collection autonomously, and that's where proxies come in. They power these autonomous pipelines: user, model, query to source, new knowledge, final response. Next, we have fine-tuning or instruction tuning. After web content is collected, such as Q&A threads, posts, forum replies, or reviews, it's cleaned, structured, and repurposed to further refine the model. This helps align it with a specific tone, domain, or target audience. Finally, let's talk about data augmentation in zero-shot or few-shot learning scenarios. Even if you only have a few labeled examples for a task, you can still generate or pull additional samples from the web, classify them, and use them to improve performance. This allows you to reinforce the model even when starting with minimal training data. But the raw output you get after scraping is far from clean. It's messy and unstructured. In most cases, the data contains noise such as spam, ads, and repetitive template phrases, irrelevant or low-quality content, duplicates, repeated entries, and meaningless SEO filler text. That's why every dataset must go through a mandatory cleanup process. First is normalization, which involves removing HTML junk and cleaning the text. Next comes semantic filtering, using embedding models or classifiers to filter out only meaningful data. Then clustering, so the system can understand what the content is about and how different data points relate to each other. Let's say, for example, we want to train a model to understand what makes a TikTok video go viral. The pipeline would look something like this: rotating proxy, scraper using Playwright or Puppeteer. We extract the title, caption, and metadata, hashtags, engagement, etc. Convert that data into embeddings using tools like Sentence Transformers or OpenAI's API. Then perform clustering with Feis or Pinecone, a vector database, to analyze the patterns. And just like that, you've built a dataset that can help models detect trends, themes, and content signals, all thanks to a structured, proxy-powered scraping pipeline. Because if TikTok blocks your requests, the entire pipeline goes down, the model loses its freshness, and your team wastes time and resources for nothing. That's why maintaining a stable scraper isn't just a technical detail, it's an infrastructure-level challenge. And this is exactly where proxies make the difference. They ensure IP stability, fewer blocks, fewer 403 errors. They support massive scale, over 100 parallel sessions at once. They provide geographic diversity. Scraping content from the US, Canada, or Europe requires region-specific IPs. And they help bypass rate limits, which are often tied to regions or even specific ISPs. By 2025, proxies have become a core element of MLOps infrastructure, an essential part of any scalable, stable pipeline for data collection and preparation, especially if you are training a custom LLM, building RAG pipelines from dynamic sources like news or social media, creating a product based on localized content, for example TikTok USA versus TikTok Asia, aggregating data in real time for price tracking, trend monitoring, news feeds, or retail insights. Modern AI pipelines also come with specific technical requirements that proxies must meet. First, proxies need to remain stable when handling WebSocket connections. These are commonly used in real-time applications like LLM agents and streaming services. Second, TLS 1.3 support is critical. This is the most secure and modern encryption protocol available. It ensures safe data transmission, especially when scraping from private APIs or working with authenticated sessions. Lastly, there's ALPN, Application Layered Protocol Negotiation. This is a mechanism with TLS that lets the client and server agree on which protocol to use, for example HTTP2 or HTTP3. Many modern websites and APIs won't function correctly without proper ALPN negotiation. So now we need to understand which proxy type is best and for what tasks. Let's start with ISP proxies, also known as Internet Service Provider IPs. These are the closest to regular residential users. The IP address belongs to real ISPs and appear authentic in the eyes of anti-bot systems. They're ideal for scraping from social media platforms with strict protections, like TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram, passing browser-based JavaScript checks, and extracting content where clean, trustworthy traffic is essential. The benefits: high trust score, stability, and much lower chance of getting blocked. The downside: they're more expensive than data center proxies and typically offer limited concurrency. Now let's move on to mobile proxies. These go through mobile carrier networks and are a favorite among anti-bot systems, since mobile traffic is considered the least suspicious. They're best suited for city-level or even neighborhood-level geo-targeting, bypassing CAPTCHAs, ad protection, and KYC forms, and interacting with platforms that use aggressive behavioral analysis. The main advantages: the highest possible trust score and exceptional legitimacy. The downside: they come at a premium cost and are slower compared to other options. Now let's talk about data center proxies. These are IP addresses owned by hosting providers, not tied to any real user. They're known for their high speed and broad availability, but they don't offer the same trust level as residential or mobile options. They're best suited for high-volume scraping of public content, like news, blogs, or pricing data, projects where deep anonymity isn't required, and fast scraping jobs that demand a high request rate. The upside: they're fast, affordable, and highly scalable. The downside: they're easier to detect and often get blocked by major platforms. In large teams, proxies aren't managed manually. Instead, they're handled through dedicated proxy services that automatically rotate IPs via API, distribute traffic load across multiple threads or sessions, and monitor request health and success rate. Teams integrate proxy monitoring into their logging and metrics systems to track which IPs get blocked most often which regions perform best, and when to trigger rotation. These services can be easily integrated into Airflow DAGs, as a scraping task dependency, Kubernetes pods using sidecar containers for IP rotation, and LangChain tools via proxy-aware agents. By 2025, proxies are no longer just a tool for getting around blocks. They've become a core part of AI infrastructure, powering access to real-world data, ensuring stability in scraping, enabling precise geo-targeting, and supporting scalable pipelines. Without proxies, modern LLMs, agents, and data platforms lose their edge in relevance and quality. So if you're working with AI, proxies shouldn't just be an add-on, they should be a fundamental part of your stack. Remember, free proxies pose security risks and lack reliable anonymity, often leading to blocks. For secure and private online experiences, turn to our company, Proxy-Seller. We offer 100% anonymity and top-notch security. Our selection caters to various needs, supported by 24/7 assistance. Check the description for a 10% discount code and a link to our site. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications by clicking on the bell, and hit the like button. That's all for now. See you guys in the next video.